When you are on a page, so let's say I'm on this page by TechCrunch right now, which is talking about OpenAI and their new browser, there is an Ask ChatGPT button on the right-hand side. So you might have had a browser extension like this that did this already. They've been around for a couple of years. This is just built in. So I can ask it to summarize this article. So it's basically going to pull the HTML, presumably from the page on the left-hand side, and summarize it on the right-hand side. Ooh, that's quite slow. Atlas could threaten Google's ad business by drawing users away from Chrome and processing search queries through AI chat. Exactly what I just said. It's summarized in this article. What is more cool, though, is that there is a memory. For example, every single morning I pull together all of the AI news from the day. What I'm going to be able to do now is open all of these articles in Atlas browser. Atlas will have knowledge of all of the articles I've looked at. So when it comes to me summarizing and creating the newsletter, I already have an AI that has access to all of the websites. What I do at the moment is I have to go back to the website or to the browser afterwards and copy and paste out all those URLs. For certain things like this, it's going to be a bit more practical. It's also going to remember all of the web addresses you've been to are going to be basically saved into your ChatGPT account for better or worse, which means one, you're going to be able to pull that information. You'll be able to say, oh, I was on a website the other day. I can't remember what it was or where it was, but I remember reading about such and such, and it'll be able to pull that in. That's cool. What they're doing here is they're increasing their surface area so that ChatGPT has more knowledge about what we're doing, our interests, and what we're looking for on a daily basis. That is more training material, and it's more material they can use to customize the experience for us. The reason they're doing this is for advertising, because if they are following me around the internet, if they are watching me look at a new Osprey bag that I want to buy, or they're looking at the fact that I'm going away next weekend on a holiday, and now they know where I'm going because I've searched certain places, I've searched for ferry tickets and train tickets, etc. That is all going to be going into ChatGPT, and it's all going to be used for advertising, which they will be launching sooner rather than later. And now they have an additional surface area. So it's not just in the application, it's on the browser. So they are following me all around the internet. On this, the privacy issue, passwords. I have not given ChatGPT access to all of my passwords. I don't think that's safe enough yet. So when I loaded up Atlas, it was like, do you want to import all of your passwords and details from Chrome? I said, no, I trust Google to look after those passwords because they have been doing it for a long time. They have had leaks, but nothing catastrophic. I do not necessarily trust OpenAI with all of my passwords. So when you open up Atlas, it's going to give you that question. It's going to say, hey, do you want to import all of your private data, all of your passwords, and your whole internet life from Chrome, the browser you've been using up until now? I chose, so I'm entering in my passwords one by one, which adds a lot of friction. Moving over to a new browser is already a pain, a big pain. Not trusting it with my passwords, so I can't just do a complete migration, makes it even more annoying. So I might be going back to Chrome more rather than less over the next few days. I'm going to be trying out Atlas in the same way that I've tried out Perplexity's Comet, Deer, and all of the other browsers that have been coming out. Whether or not it will stick depends, and it also depends on how much information you want to give OpenAI and how much you trust them with it compared to how much you trust Google. That is going to be a value judgment. So this is the big news this week. It's going to dominate this week, I imagine. I'm going to go through some of the discussions about it, but first let me hop over to some questions. Jojo saying me neither. Is that not wanting to give all your passwords to OpenAI? Because I think that's fair. I think this is, they have not proven themselves to be able to hold on to this kind of information safely for a long time, whereas Google have. I've given my passwords to Chrome. There haven't been any massive data leaks, so I trust them more because they have a track record. With OpenAI, I don't know, and they're going to be a massive target as well. So I'm holding off for now. Maybe that's too conservative, but I don't want to give my banking passwords to an application that may or may not be secure because I just don't know. And this is moving us more and more towards allowing ChatGPT to act as an agent in our life. If I go to booking.com, I can now go to Ask ChatGPT and put it into agent mode. I can stick it into agent mode and allow it to act on my behalf. Let's put it into agent mode and see what it can do on booking.com. Where do we want to go? Let's go to Taiwan. This would be a good demonstration if I could type, I want to go to Taiwan next year, let's say March. Find me cost-effective tickets from London. Oh, agent mode may introduce risk. Oh yeah, In agent mode, ChatGPT can perform complex tasks in the browser for you. In logged in mode, ChatGPT can access your logged in sites, making it faster to complete tasks. ChatGPT is built to protect you. But there's always some risk that attackers could successfully break our safeguards to access your data. Let's start it in logged out mode. So I'm not giving it access to my ChatGPT, but I am giving it access to the website I'm looking at. I'm also not logged into booking.com. So it is scanning the page. I'm getting ready to help find cost-effective tickets for the user. I'm setting up the foundation for this request by initializing so I can gather the necessary information to provide better results, like flight options from London to Taiwan next March. I'm recognizing the user's interest in cost-effective flights for March 2026. Since we're already on booking.com, I'll focus on searching the best deals here. Okay, so I could have not used booking.com. I could have just started in agent mode and it would have gone off to find websites. Now that's interesting. It's gone to Skyscanner. Very interesting. I'm watching the little cursor move around the screen. Do you know what it feels like? It feels when you're showing somebody older how to use a website. You're standing behind them. Yeah, just click there. Okay, yeah, and there. Yeah, click there. Come on. It has that speed where I'm watching this cursor like slowly move around the screen. Come on. Okay, that's interesting. It has not asked me how long I want to go for, which is information I did not provide, but I expected it to ask me, but it hasn't asked that. So what it's done is it's found me a flight from March 1st to March 15th. There we go, it's got it. So best £784. Oh wow, £477, that's cheap. £440, £400. It found a £400 flight. That is cheap considering I'm going to somewhere in the UK next week and it's costing me about the same, which is madness. Okay, so it is working. Yep, this is functioning. It hasn't been blocked. It is moving through the task. It's very slow. That is something that will speed up, presumably, but it's moving at currently slower than human pace. If you're an agent, we want it to be much faster. We want it to be able to scan through all these results and move at a speed which puts us to shame. It did not do that. So here we go. I looked up current options for flights from London to Taiwan in March. This is going March 1st to March 15th. The cheapest I found is China Eastern. That's fine. China Eastern goes from Heathrow, arrives at Taipei. So I found one which stops in Shanghai. That's fine for £400. Very cheap, extremely cheap. You can often save money by being flexible with dates, blah, 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 blah. Okay, what I'm going to do, I won't be able to do this because I haven't got my credit card, but let's say book this for me. Let's see if it will even try to do that or if it will say, I can't do that. What's happened here? You can see my desktop. Don't know why my screen's gone strange. If you're on YouTube, there's something about the way the agent is working, which it's adjusted the size of my screen as far as my computer concerned. That's very odd. Okay, so it is going ahead and it is trying to book for me. It's actually quite a good flight for £400. I might buy that. So I want to see what happens if it will say, hey, I need your credit card details. Okay, so it looks like what it's going to do is get to the billing stage and then ask me to fill out the details. For privacy and security reasons, I need your explicit confirmation and the necessary details before I can continue. Could you please provide passenger and contact information? I'd be typing my details into the chat box and it would take them over into the form. There are definitely things we could use this for. Right now, though, the agent is very slow, but you could set it tasks and it could go off and do that in the background, research tasks, go into websites, filling out forms, etc. I'm sure you could set up an agent which can go and fill out those survey forms and you can make extra money if you wanted. So it's fine. Whether or not I'll be using Atlas moving forward, I'm not certain, especially because it's screwed up my YouTube. But please go and try it out. Be very aware of the privacy concerns. Maybe don't give it all of your passwords. Definitely don't give it your credit card details. I think that's a generally good practice. And tell me what you think. If you're watching this on YouTube later, go and have a go. Tell me in the comments what you think about this. I'd love to hear your opinions. Okay, I'm going to hop over to some questions. Please go and play with it, though. It's fun. Nat says, trust fall with Atlas, all in. Yeah, that is one way you could do it. I'm tempted. I can create virtual credit cards using Revolut or a virtual debit card. So the worst comes to the worst, I can take off that card. And that would be a fun way to test. I think that over the next few years, it will become the norm. We will be given our credit card details, be given our personal details to artificial intelligence. Remember when we started to first buy things on the internet, e-commerce? There was a whole thing about, oh, I'm not going to give a computer my credit card details. There's no way it's going to be secure. And obviously we got over that and now e-commerce is absolutely massive. We're going to have to go through a similar shift, which I understand, but I still don't want to give Atlas my details yet. I'm going to wait and see what goes wrong. All of the AI browsers are pretty similar. They just have a different kind of chat functionality in the top, but their agent mode, the slide out navigation bars and stuff like that is all very similar. And considering they're all built in Chromium as well, it's not surprising they all have the same look and feel. So yes, if you've used Comet, it's pretty similar to this, honestly. Let's have a look at what people are actually saying. So on TechCrunch, this is an article from TechCrunch about OpenAI's new browser, and they are specifically calling it out as a broadside shot at Google, which is 100% it is. Today, OpenAI launched its new Atlas web browser in a surprise live stream. They just put out a tweet a couple of hours before, and people guessed very quickly that it was a browser because it had little tabs. We think AI represents a rare once-in-a-decade opportunity to rethink what a browser can be, Altman said. In the same way that for the previous way people use the internet, the URL bar and the search box were great analog, what we're starting to see is that the chat experience in the web browser can be a quick analog. So 100% they've changed that URL bar, so we're not typing in web addresses anymore. That has become a chat bar. It's a form of rethinking what a browser can be, and it does feel different. It feels clunky for me, but that's because I'm used to using a search bar. We just need to rewire our brains. The actual browser experience itself feels very similar to Chrome because it is built on Chromium. This is not particularly new. So this isn't revolutionary, it's, I would say, evolutionary. It was an inspiring note in the classic Steve Jobs mode, but even more important than Altman's browser was the detritus he was sweeping aside to make room. It wasn't just casting present-day browsers as old, but part of a whole package of goods that are about to be replaced by AI. As Altman put it, part of the previous way people use the internet. Most of those soon-to-be obsolete services trace back to a single company, Google. This is very true. It's been an open secret since last summer. We've been talking about it for a year or so, and I remember they hired a guy who worked on the Chrome browser. As soon as they hired him, everyone was like, oh, OpenAI working on a browser. It was clear from the beginning that it would be a potential threat to Google, current owner of the world's most popular browser, Chrome. So I'm searching for the market penetration, but I'm using ChatGPT rather than using Google because I'm using their browser. So already this has taken me away from Google. They have 65 to 68% of the web browser market is Chrome at the moment. So that's a huge monopoly. And this is why there are antitrust suits against Google. There was talk a few months ago about having to sell Chrome because it gave Google too much power. That might not be the problem anymore. Tuesday's product presentation details how much the web giant has to lose in the AI area and how little the Google success with Gemini seems to have helped. I've talked about this again and again. Yes, Google are pivoting. Yes, they have AI products. They have Gemini. They have AI Studio, which I'm going to show you shortly after this. They've got a new build mode, which is really good. Most of their money, 70, 80% of their revenue comes from search. It comes from us going to Google and seeing adverts at the top of Google. That's where their money comes from. It does not come from Android. It does not come from their telephones. It does not come from Gmail or any of their products. They're very small amounts of cash compared to search. That is where the money comes from. It is primarily an advertising company. This is a massive threat to the cash cow that Google have had for the last 2 decades or so. The immediate threat is simple enough. ChatGPT draws 800 million users a week, 10% of the world. And if those users switch to Atlas, they're most likely switching away from Chrome, because Chrome is 60, 70%. Losing those users doesn't have an immediate dollar cost for Google. It's a free product, but it limits Google's ability to target ads to those users and nudge them to Google search, and instead allows ChatGPT to run adverts. Just last month, Google was barred by the US Department of Justice from making search exclusivity deals. They were told by the DOJ that they weren't allowed to monopolize search, which they basically were doing, and now OpenAI have come along with a fix for that, giving an alternative. So what I just noticed while I was using it, they've mentioned here how OpenAI deals with search itself. In the Atlas browser, it is pulling the results from Google, but it's showing them to you inside of their own interface, which means there are no adverts attached to it. So Google is no longer making money from that search result. That's really going to upset Google. And I wonder if they're going to block access. So I will search, it will give me the search engine results, which are indexed by Google. There's a button which allows me to go off to Google and see it originally in Google, but it looks like they're just scraping them into Atlas. And that means Google doesn't get any advertising revenue. So OpenAI are providing the kind of service of Google without the adverts of Google. If they also overlay their own adverts, OpenAI adverts, I wonder if Google has a case there that you may not use our indexed results to profit. I'm sure their legal departments are looking at this and thinking, we need to deal with this quickly because this is massive threat. The new model of search is really powerful. It's a multi-turn experience. You can have this back and forth with your search results instead of being sent off to a web page. Search is the old paradigm, the old way that we used to access information, and we're shifting away from that rapidly. And I think something like Atlas is going to make it a lot easier. Google has done a lot to integrate AI into normal search experience, but the company has mostly approached it in the same way as product listings or reviews, by adding a box to the results page. They add the AI overviews at the top, which in a weird way are also a threat, because it means people aren't clicking to websites. If they're not clicking to websites, that starts to demolish Google's display ad network as well. OpenAI's engaged back and forth is beyond anything you can get on Chrome, and given its profoundly different approach, it's not something that can be easily copied. I think Google could copy this, and they've already added an AI mode into search. The thing is, by doing so, Google speed up their demise. So Google currently are relying on a huge amount of cash coming from search, and anything that they integrate, like AI overviews, AI mode in Google, if they added AI search box or an AI chat into Chrome itself, all of that threatens their cash cow. Potentially, yes, they can make money from AI moving forward. They can pivot into becoming an AI first business, and they can make money from subscriptions and adverts served up in the AI. But right now that is unknown. Whereas what they've been making money from for the last couple of decades is known, it's profitable, and it works. So they're in a really tricky position. How do you turn this gigantic ship, which makes a tremendous amount of cash from search? How do you pivot that into AI? Because if you don't, OpenAI and the AI companies are going to eat their lunch. They're going to destroy them. But if you do pivot, you have to kill your cash cow and move to your AI business, which is much more risky. So I don't envy anyone at Google right now. If anyone's going to pull it off, it will be Google. They have very smart people. They're a clever company, and they're pretty nimble and already experimenting with AI, but a hell of a ship to turn. There'll be some panic at Google today. I'll reach out to some people at Google and see what they're feeling. I imagine they're not particularly happy.